Hello! Well, you know, I guess you don't know because I just started the video and I haven't said anything, so you don't know. But if you did know, you'd know that I'm standing. I'm out for a walk, but I stopped inside this clubhouse, the Lime Tree Club. As I'm looking at this sign above me, it looks backwards. Does it look backwards to you guys? If so, I got to change the setting. But it's fun to read things backwards because it looks like, I don't know, blub, eat, emil. I don't know. I mean, that's kind of weird, but that's where I'm at. Anyway, I stopped here because I want to walk, but it's very windy. It's very windy. So when I walk, you would hear the wind. It's a cell phone. I'm using a cell phone to record this. So you hear the wind, and you can't hear what I'm saying. Hello, my name is Shush, and here we are. And I hope you're nice day. Okay, anyway, it looks like they're ready for Christmas here. They're ready for Christmas. I live in, there's nice communities around here where I live, like communities, and it seems like every couple of blocks they have a different clubhouse. This is the Lime Tree Club, so I guess I'm in the Lime Tree community. I live in the Montpelier community. There's little districts a few blocks down, and they have a Montpelier clubhouse. And there's another clubhouse down the street from there. I can't think of the name of it right now, but it's the place where I went to vote when I voted this year. If you want to know who I voted for this year, I voted for you, because you're the most important person in my life, and I believe you can change the world. So I voted for you. So now what do? Do I venture out? The wind is really blowing. Look, you can see, okay, Thanksgiving's coming up. And right over here we got the Thanksgiving turkey. He was facing this way a while back, but now he's turned around because the wind has turned this guy around. Thanksgiving turkey. Thanksgiving's coming up here in the United States in a couple of weeks. Theoretically, I'll get that day off. Normally I enjoy my days off. Of course, I am retired and I don't work 5 days every week anymore. I get that government check every month, which is great. Yay, I like it. I worked hard for that for many years. But but it's not enough. It's not enough. It pays the rent and the groceries and a few things, but it's not enough. Now I'm holding up here because somebody's walking a dog there, and I'm not necessarily afraid of dogs. This looks like a little friendly dog, but I am vlogging and it would be distracting. So I'm going to wait. You see her way back in the background? Walking the dog. Headed this way. I'll wait till the dog passes. In the meantime, I'll just walk around this clubhouse. They have a pool in the backyard. Oh, it's way over there. You can't see it because it's way over there behind the clubhouse, but it's over there, folks, somewhere. And this is not what's important. What's important is that yesterday I had jury duty. Yes, I went to the Philippines, and when I came back from the Philippines, I received a notice in the mail that said I didn't show up for my scheduled jury duty. I was scheduled for jury duty, and I didn't throw up. I didn't throw up. I didn't throw up. Jury duty. I'll tell you what. When you get that message, you got jury duty. When you get that summons, it'll make you throw up. I ain't kidding. Somebody back there on a cart or something. So I didn't throw up. And where were we going with that? Okay, what I did was I had to contact them right away, else I was facing a $100 fine or maybe jail time for contempt, if I ignored the summons. And so they told me that, very nice letter. Hey, you jerk, you didn't show up, and we hate you, and your daggone well better show up next time, because if you don't, you might go to jail. And I thought that was a very friendly, neighborly thing to say. Okay, here comes that wind. Here comes that wind. So the wind is blowing. Woo! Can you hear it? I don't know if you can see the trees in the background. The wind is blowing. And, jury duty. So I sent him back a letter and says, look, I never received the summons. I never did. I mean, it may have come in the mail. Maybe, I live in a house with other people and they get mail too. So maybe whoever collected the mail that day thought it was junk mail and they threw it in the trash. The government doesn't buy that. But I got back to the Philippines and I found this letter. You didn't report, and you darn well better contact us or you're in trouble, right? So I did, and I worked something out. And I told, and not only that, the jury duty was scheduled for September 23rd. I had to be at the courthouse on September 23rd at 7:30 in the morning. On September 23rd, I was on an airplane coming back from the Philippines. I didn't get back till 5 o'clock that evening. Yeah, and I told him that. I wrote him a letter and said, look, this is what happened. I was out of the country and I never received the summons. Yeah. Just report. You better report this time. So, okay, I reported. That was yesterday. So I went to the courthouse. and I didn't want to drive because from here to in Orlando, to get from here to downtown Orlando, you have to drive on I-4. I-4 is a notoriously crazy traffic highway that goes across the middle of the state, from like Tampa to Daytona, and Orlando right in the middle. And I really didn't want to deal with that traffic, early morning traffic. Plus, I have slight cataracts. I have cataracts, and I'm getting new glasses shortly. And but eventually I'll have to have an operation for that. But driving during the day is not a problem. But driving at night, and it gets dark early, so if I was leaving the courthouse at 5:30, it'll be dark. Driving at night is a little bit difficult because I don't see as well. So we're going to fix all this. I heard this surgery is wonderful. My friend Lauren, Justin, he had the surgery, and he can see everything. I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. He can see so good. He can see beyond the material. He can see into the depths of your hearts and souls. He can see, well, maybe I'm hamming that up a little bit. Larned had the surgery and he said it was great. He hardly has to wear his glasses anymore at all. Anyway, I went to the optometrist recently and I have a new pair of glasses on the way that'll hold me off for a couple of years. These are going to be transition lenses. So transition lenses are like when you walk outside, they darken, they turn to sunglasses. When you're inside, they brighten. So they're good under any light. And transition lemons, also, progressive, whatever you call them. Anyway, forget it. But where were we? Jury duty. Oh yeah, remember jury duty? We were talking about jury duty. Woo, it's so windy. If you can't hear me, let me know, and I'll just do this later. But I went to the courthouse, got there. It's super hard for me to get up that early to be there at 7:30 in the morning. I had to catch an Uber. That's where I was, talking about cataracts and stuff. I don't want to drive early in the morning or late in the evening, so I catched an Uber. And I got there, and it was like $22 to get there. So then I would have to catch an Uber that evening back, and that'd be another $22. But I knew I had to do that, but I just didn't want to drive. So, but I thought, they tell you the length of the trial. If you go for jury duty, expect to be there for 1 day, which is what I expected. And then they say, or the length of one trial, whatever that means. So if a trial lasts more than 1 day, you have to keep coming back and coming back. I'd be paying those Ubers $22 each ride. Plus, I tip the guys because they're good guys and they mean well. Not their fault I got called up for jury duty. So I got there. You wait downstairs at the bottom of the courthouse, and the courthouse is like 14 stories tall. No kidding. The Orange County Courthouse in Orlando, Florida is enormous. And it looks like the Daily Planet building. You know, it's huge. You wait until you're called. So I'm sitting downstairs, almost falling asleep for a couple hours. Suddenly they call my number. Because you're not a name, you're a number. That's right. If you remember The Prisoner and Patrick McGowan, or if you remember Giving Me a Number and Taking Away My Name, that was that other spy thing. What was that? Can't think right now, but yeah. So you wait and you get called. Eventually I got called, and this particular judge asked for 50 people. There was like 300 of us sitting downstairs waiting. And they asked for 50 people to come to the courtroom. So 50 of us got in the line. They called us by name, and not by number, by number. They called us by number. We all lined up. 50 people went up to the 12th floor, which has a fantastic view of Orlando, downtown Orlando. You can see for miles and miles and miles. And they called us into the courtroom. 50 people. And then you have the judge, who was a pretty good guy. I liked him. He was funny, and you know, he explained things to you, about the law and what their expectations were. And you see, there's the lawyers, there's the prosecution over the left side, right side. There's the defense. There's a lady sitting there, and next to her is the defendant. Now, this guy, it turns out he's been accused of murder. That's right. Let's don't mess around. Let's go with murder. So he's not shoplifting, no, not pickpocketing. No, this is murder. This is a murder trial, people. I'm like, and so then they start to talk to us. First the judge interviews you and asks you a ton of questions. And he goes through 50 people, remember, 50 people. And he goes through and he asks you questions, and he calls on each specific juror. And they gave us numbers. My number was 33. I was in seat 33, so they go by the seats. And they say, well, a man is innocent until they're proven guilty. Do you agree with this? And if you don't, why not? And they ask, juror number 42, what do you think? And it's funny, the division of thought, and the people have different, like, one of the best questions was, in the American judicial system, or how many people do you think are accused of crimes that they didn't commit? Between 1 and 100, on that scale, how many people do you think? Also, how many people do you think, on a scale of 1 to 100, are in prison for crimes they didn't commit? It was pretty crazy. Some people were extreme. 50 people. So they ask you one by one. Juror number 21, what do you think? Well, I believe that 30 people are arrested for crimes they didn't commit. And I believe that 50 people are in prison who shouldn't be there because they're innocent. Anyway, and then they ask you all kinds of questions, and this goes on for hours. First the judges talk to you for 2 hours and ask you a ton of questions. Then the prosecution talks to you like 2 more hours, and I'm like, I got up at 5:30 in the morning to catch an Uber to get here, and I'm like, oh, I'm getting so fuzzy. And they ask you all these questions. And, and then, they ask you, a lot of questions. They want to make sure you're fair and impartial, and they say, is there any reason you think you might be more inclined to side with law enforcement or against a defendant who's not been proven guilty, because the state has to prove him guilty, otherwise he's considered innocent? And I raise my hand. I'm like, yeah, well, my young brother, Robert, he was a probation officer for like 35 years. He's retired, he fishes all the time. He doesn't think about all this crap, but I said, I would be actually side with law enforcement. And he's like, yeah, but can you be fair and impartial when you're dealing with someone accused of a crime and someone who says he's guilty, not guilty. I said, well, sir, I love my brother, and I tend to side with the police. They're good guys. They're almost all good guys. You know, some people say, well, there's a bad apple in every bunch. But, yeah, I mean, if you have somebody who's committed a heinous crime, a horrific crime, or accused of that, and you have all the evidence, and you have a police officer who said, yeah, he did it, I would tend to believe the police officer. They don't like those answers. You have to be completely impartial. Completely impartial. So that's what I said. I'll tell you the truth, in the back of my mind, I knew that they wouldn't like that answer, but I'm trying to get out of jury duty. But so was everyone. They asked all kinds of questions. Is there any reason it might be a hardship for you to get to the courthouse? Because this trial, ladies and gentlemen, this trial was scheduled for 6 days. I would have to miss work and everything. I'd have to miss at least 3 days of work. And I'd have to keep coming back every day for 6 days. And I don't like driving after dark. And I have to catch an Uber every day. And this adds up and up and up and up and up. And I told them that too when they asked me. And yeah, hardships. Other people said stuff like, well, you know, I'm taking care of my great-grandma, and she didn't have anybody else to care for her, and it's really hard for me to get out of the house and go buy her a box of donuts or whatever, you know. And other people say, well, I have small children, and there's nobody else that can take care of them. The judge says, there's nobody else that can take care of them. There's no one you can leave them. No way, because they're trying to get out of jury duty too, right? So, all kinds of stuff. Nobody wanted to be there, and they gave a million reasons. And eventually the judge, they start whittling things. Oh, everybody leave and come back in 15 minutes. We're going to take a break. And you come back, and then they say certain people can leave. Juror number 461, juror number 5,000, juror number 99. You can leave because the court bought their excuses. Yeah, there's no way I can be here. I got other people depending on me, etc., etc., etc. But they didn't buy my excuses right away. So I was concerned because I sure didn't want to spend 6 days on the jury and, you know, spending like $50 a day on Uber. What is that for 6 days? Or $300? Oh, well, that's something else. And we found this out early on when I was down there. They pay you $15 a day. Now, my job, I wasn't sure that my job would pay for anything, but maybe the days I was scheduled for Thursday, Friday, and Monday, and the trial was going to go on, would be starting on Tuesday and going through Monday, so I'd not get paid for 3 of those days probably, because I'm a part-timer and I don't have the benefits I had when I was a full-timer, so I retired, you know. But it's okay, they said. We're going to give you a debit card that will cover $15 a day. So you're being paid $15 a day. Isn't that great? But you're going to miss a whole day's of work and you're not going to get paid for it. And you have to travel. You have to pay for the gas and everything else to get here. And I live way outside of downtown Orlando. It takes half an hour to get there from where I live. So I have to pay for the gas. Well, I didn't, but I paid for the Uber. And it's going to go for 6 days. And you know, the judge decides, the court decides whether you have to be there or not. No matter what you say, once they tell you have to be there, you gotta be there. So they were relatively lenient on a lot of excuses. Remember, we started with 50 people. 50 people. Eventually they whittled it out. Over a couple of breaks, they sent a few people out home, and they sent a few other people later. And down at the end, I'd been there since 7:30 in the morning, and it was after 5 o'clock in the evening, and you know, the time is getting short, so it's beginning to get dark, and we're all inside waiting, and they says, okay, what happened was they had it whittled down by the end to about 15 people, 15 or 20 people, who was left. When I looked over at the chairs where the jury is, it had 12 chairs. So I'm figuring they need 12 people. They're going to decide if you have to be on this jury, and they own you. I mean, they really do own you. It's almost like being in prison. It's like they own you, right? So I knew I would have to be there for all those days, miss work, and paying a monumental amounts to happy Uber guys to get there. And at the end, then he says, okay, we're going to make our final decision now on who has to be on the jury and who doesn't. Everybody leave the room, and we'll be back with you shortly. An hour later, shortly, and everybody was sitting out in the hallway grumbling because they'd all been there since 7:30 in the morning, and everybody was like tired and blurry, and are they ever going to make this decision? Well, at 6 o'clock, an hour later, they called us back into the courtroom, and the judge says, I'm going to call out a few names. And I thought he was calling out the people who could leave. I thought he was calling out the numbers of the people who could leave, and everybody else would have to stay. And he called out these numbers: 13, 49, 62, 83, 220. And then he says, all of you need to stay here. Everyone else can leave. You can go home. And they didn't call my name. And I'm like, yay! I was exhausted, but I'm yay with my last ounce of strength. I'm yay! I get to go home. So like, woo! And everybody else was yay too. When they said you can leave now, you should have seen how many people stampede to get out of the doors. Everybody's stampeding out. There's a guy standing there, a cop, and he's holding a box, and everybody throw your jury badges in. We had clip-on juror badges, so we threw them in there, and we flew to the elevators and flew out the door. I had to go downstairs and call an Uber. Uber had a hard time finding me. I think he went around the blocks a couple of times. Downtown Orlando is huge. It's a huge downtown area. But in front of the courthouse, eventually he did find me. I was so happy I gave him a $10 tip. In addition to the tip that you give an Uber driver if you want to. Uber, you don't have to leave a tip, but yeah, most everybody does. So, yeah. But see, the whole afternoon I was in torture. I'm in torture because they talk and talk and talk and talk for hours. And you're sitting there for hours. And you're bored to death, and you're trying to concentrate, but you're getting more and more blurry all the time, and you're thinking, oh man, they're going to choose me. And I was thinking, yeah, they're definitely going to choose me because they're whittling us down. There's not many people left here. They're going to choose me. And then I got to figure out how to get back tomorrow morning. So it'll be another Uber. I have to check my credit cards and see what I got on there because I'll be paying for Ubers for the next 5 days. So, but they didn't choose me. Praise the Lord. Yay! Whew. So instead of being in court right now, I've got the day off. So I went for this walk. I am going for this walk, and you guys are watching. Jerry Gobert? Guilty. I agree. Whoever it is, tell me you're guilty. One thing I mentioned this earlier. I told my younger brother was a cop, but not a cop. He's a probation officer. It's my brother Robert, whom I'm very proud of. They want to make sure you're impartial. So I tried to get across the message that I'm not going to be impartial. But I couldn't really lie to them. I had to tell the truth. And so he asked, and one thing the judge asked me, says, okay, if you're going on where's the one place you'd like to be in the entire world? If you could go anywhere, where would you go? And I said the Philippines. Because I had my fiance lives in the Philippines. I didn't tell him that, but he seemed surprised. The Philippines? I don't know what they were thinking. Alaska? I don't know. But I said the Philippines. He says, okay, if we told you, we'll give you a flight to the Philippines, and you don't have to pay anything. It's a free flight, and you go to the plane, and you don't have to pay anything. The flight is free. Go wherever you want. And and you ask the pilot, because I seemed indecisive, if you ask the pilot, so we're gonna land in the Philippines, and we're gonna make it there safely, and he says, well, maybe not. He says, how would you respond to that? I will say, no, we're not going to get on that plane. He didn't like me being indecisive. So he was right. The judge was actually really great. He was really great. I got to hand it to him. He was funny and he was fair. It just went on for hours and hours and hours. And then I got to go home. And it was the greatest homecoming ever. Greatest homecoming ever. I was so happy to be home, and went to my room and relaxed, and did I ever dodge a bullet? I didn't dodge a bullet. I dodged a cannonball. 6 days. So and that was my experience yesterday. And today, as I said, I have off. I'm going back to work tomorrow. Yes, I'm going to make money instead of... Oh, yeah, I mentioned that. Okay, I mentioned they give you a debit card. This is your reward for doing jury duty in Orlando, Florida. They give you a debit card worth $15. There's a catch. You have to go online and you have to make an account. It's like when you get a new credit card or something. It's like a MasterCard, what they give you. $15 for 1 day. And but once you do that, you're enrolled. So the card's going to be active forever until you cancel it. And they're going to they charge you a $3.25 fee for the card. So right away I'm going to get $3.25 taken out of my $15. Yeah. So what does that come to? Like $10.75 you get. And if you want, but you can put more money in there. But who needs to do it? What is this? $15? And they said for the first 2 days that you're on jury duty, if it's more than 1 day, which it was gonna be, $15 a day. If you're on jury duty for longer, after the third day or on the third day, you'll receive $30 a month. Not $30 a month, I'm sorry. Felt like that. $30 a day. So, but it still wouldn't have added up to, the money I spent on those Ubers and missed days at work, it still wouldn't have added up. And just wasn't worth it. But, having said all of that, let me say that I understand the jury system and why it's necessary for the United States. I understand we have a civic duty, even though we hate it, but it's a civic duty, and there's a reason for it. The justice systems hasn't always been this way, or even still, there's problems with it, but it's not perfect. But it's supposed to be fair and balanced and all that stuff. It's supposed to give a reasonable, look at reasonable doubt when you're looking at the evidence, whether you decide a person is guilty or not guilty, blah, blah, blah. And I understand the reason for it. It's just a super inconvenience. Only for me, not for the other 500 people in that room downstairs waiting to get called to be on specific trials. Yeah, it's an inconvenience for everybody, but I guess it's a necessity. I guess it's our responsibility, and we have to live up with it. So, I showed up, I did my job, and it's over. And that trial is going on right now, because right now it's 3:45 in the afternoon Orlando time, and the court's open. It goes on to like 5 o'clock each day. So they're working on that trial, presenting evidence, and 7 people are sitting there bored out of their gourds, listening to all this stuff, and reminding themselves that it's worth it because it's their civic responsibility. Okay, guys, have a great day. Thought I'd share that with you. remember, don't share it anywhere else, because in the judicial system, you're supposed to be quiet about such things. You don't tell anybody about anything. Okay, we're not in the judicial system, so talk about it all you want. But that's my vlog for today. I didn't mean for it to go on so long, but I had a pretty special feelings about yesterday and how it went. And now the breeze is blowing. It's a beautiful day in Orlando. The lake is behind me, and I'm happy. Until the next time they call me for jury duty. So, all right, have a great day. Larry Johnson, appreciate your comment. Have a great day, guys. I'll talk to you soon.